Now that spring training baseball games have begun, baseball fans are getting a first look at the new rules that will be implemented during the 2023 MLB season. There's a lot of talk about whether or not these changes are good for the sport. So let's talk about it with New York Post baseball columnist Joel Sherman, who joins me now from Mets camp. Joel, how's it going?
Great, Dexter. I can't fool anybody where I am, right? I'm in Met camp.
Everybody knows now. They can see right behind you where you are. So, Joel, let's start with the pitch clock. 15 seconds to deliver a pitch with no one on base and 20 seconds with a runner on. What's the vibe that you're getting about how players and managers are adjusting to the pitch clock thus far?
Yeah, I think everybody, Dexter's doing pretty much the same thing, that no matter what practice you're running, not much less games, you're running them with the clock. I think most pitchers invested in a clock in some way in the offseason to use it. And I would remind everyone, this isn't just a pitch clock. It's a hitter's clock. A hitter has to be set at 8 seconds. Otherwise, it's an automatic strike. And as anybody who's watched the game over the last 10 years devolve, with everyone fiddling with their batting gloves and with whatever their gesticulations are as their walk-up music is being played, the hitters are going to be made uncomfortable by this, at least initially. And I want to emphasize the word initially, Dexter. I think these are the best players. I know these are the best players in the world. And one of the reasons they're the best players in the world is they're adaptable. And whatever you tell them the rules are, if you give them 5-6 weeks to work on it, like they're going to get in spring training and then obviously early in the season, I'm not saying we're not going to have problems during the season. We'll certainly have some problems, but I think the best players in the world will adjust to this.
Yeah, adjustment. It takes a little bit of time, but it will happen. I agree with you on that there, Joel. Now, Joel, the 2023 season will also say goodbye to extreme shifts. How much does this change affect defensive strategy? And do you think it will benefit offense in the sport?
Yeah, I think the whole goal of this is, Dexter, to play quicker, have more balls put in play and more action on the bases. This is a lot about trying to get left-handed batting average back in the game. We're all used to seeing the second baseman in short right field take away what was a hit for 100 years, or the shortstop standing directly behind second base taking away what was a hit for 100 years. And, now there's going to be a gulf in the middle of the infield, and you're going to have to make a decision. I think if I were telling fans to watch, one of the things I would say is watch what each team decides for each batter, how big to make the gulf. Because if you have a lefty pull hitter up, you still can move your second baseman all the way into the hole close to first base. He just can't go on the grass. But then think about the distance, because the shortstop can't come to the other side of second base. Think about the distance from the second baseman to where the shortstop is stationed that is opened up in the middle of the field now. I think every team is going to have to come to a decision about that. And I think in late game situations, I would not be surprised to see many teams play 5 infielders, especially against those lefty pull hitters, to try to create more outs in a desperate late game situation.
That's going to be interesting to see what the strategy will be like in those late game situations that you talk about there. So, Joel, beside the pitch clock and the removal of extreme shifts, we also have bigger bases and limits on disengagements with the mound and pickoff throws. We know this, the MLB, they hope to increase the pace of play, as you mentioned, and create more on-base action and also attract younger fans. So the question here is, do you think they will be able to accomplish all 3 of those goals with these changes?
I think there's almost no doubt we'll play quicker this year. I would say this: the Mets played 2 games on their first day of the Grapefruit League season. One was played in 2:33, one was played in 2:34. I was at both games. And things will move quicker. The game that was 2:33 in the afternoon, that game would have been an hour longer last year. There were 16 pitchers used. There were 18 at-bats with runners in scoring position. There were 21 strikeouts, 6 walks, 2 hit by pitches, all the things that have slowed down games traditionally. And I know that people will say, I'm a traditionalist, I don't want a clock. I was like, well, we just took out an hour of fluff. There was nothing lost from the game except for fluff. So I think that will be positive. I will go back to what I said before, Dexter. I think the hitters are going to have to make an adjustment to play quicker, and pitchers who can play with their pace. You talk to Max Scherzer, for example, of the Mets ace. He could come set at 8 seconds because the hitter has to be in there. And then he could just stop. And 7, 6, 5. Now the hitter's in there. How he can't really step out. He can only step out one time per plate appearance. And so I think the smart pitchers who can play with those 8 to 10 seconds in there are going to really discomfort hitters. So I'd like to see if this is actually going to improve offense. The only thing I'm positive about is it's going to improve pace.
Right, definitely going to improve pace. And then the other thing is, will this help to attract younger fans? We will see. That time will only tell how that goes on that, but we will see how it all plays out with these MLB rule changes. Joel Sherman, New York Post baseball columnist, he will be on top of it throughout spring training and throughout the season. Joel, it's always good to talk baseball with you. Thank you for your time.
Always good to be with you, Dexter. Thanks so much.